CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Well, ironically, given that Anti-Bullying Day was this week, there's been a lot of fighting and harsh words, and Liberal MLA Kevin Kruger is ending this week with a refusal to apologize after launching a scathing attack on BC judges. It's been quite a week for the member from Kamloops, South Thompson. Kruger was nearly ejected from the House for heckling right before Anti-Bullying Day.
There are many good judges. There are some real bad apples, and if you've been doing your reading, Mr. Member, you'll know about those and some of the outrageous.
Kruger went on to call judges lazy and dishonorable. He says he thinks they should work longer hours and believes that some judges get tired of listening to cases, which Kruger believes leads to unfair rulings. Kruger has been sharply criticized for his comments, but he's refusing to take back what he said.
My views are quite different than those of MLA Kruger. I have contacted him and expressed my concern about the comments made in the legislature. I have also contacted the chief judges in British Columbia to express my concern and to reassure them that certainly as the Attorney General and also the government of British Columbia, we recognize their independence and we absolutely respect the role they have on the bench.
NDP Justice critic Leonard Krogh wrote a letter to the Premier and to the Justice Minister demanding that Kruger withdraw those comments, calling them inflammatory and inappropriate.
I have never heard remarks of that nature made outside of the legislature, let alone in. Mr. Kruger's remarks were absolutely over the top. They were inflammatory. Indeed, if he had made those remarks outside of the chamber, there would be consequences, I'm sure. If Mr. Kruger comes to his senses on this issue, he needs to go into the legislature on Monday morning, first thing, ask leave of the Speaker to make a statement and withdraw without equivocation his comments about the judges.
What I do mind.
It remains to be seen if that's going to happen. Kruger's served as the Liberal MLA in the Kamloops area since 1996. The trial of a man who's accused of trying to kill a Victoria police officer will go to the jury next week. Guy Seguin is charged with attempted murder in the attack on Constable Lane Douglas Hunt. It happened outside a downtown 7-Eleven store in January last year. The 58-year-old Seguin is accused of stabbing the 25-year-old officer in the neck after she responded to a shoplifting call at the 7-Eleven. The defense claims that he had no intent to kill her, but the trial has also heard that the accused was angry with police in general and was looking to do something. In its closing argument this morning, the Crown said Seguin did indeed mean to kill her. The jury begins deliberations on Tuesday. Well, the terminus for any commuter rail service would be in Vic West now because the train doesn't go across the Blue Bridge anymore. And there is a major funding announcement regarding the Johnson Street Bridge scheduled for tomorrow, but tonight nobody's saying exactly where that money's coming from or how much there is. But there is a lot of noise being made at the bridge right now. The Blue Bridge taking some heavy blows today as deconstruction workers are breaking up the counterbalance, the big concrete weight on the old train span. The Mayor will join with Provincial Cabinet Minister Ida Chong and representatives from the Union of BC Municipalities for what the city says is an important announcement tomorrow. Last year, the city applied for $16.5 million in gas revenue, gas tax revenue, which was supposed to help fund the active transportation portion of the bridge rebuild. The announcement of that funding is at 10 tomorrow morning. We'll have it for you tomorrow night at 6 on CTV News. Meantime, the Sears store at the Hillside Mall in Victoria is not affected as the expansion at that centre continues. The City of Victoria is recommending that Council approve a development permit for a second story on the east side of the mall, which would cover nearly 35,000 square feet. And U.S. fashion chain Marshalls is joining Target, opening new stores at the Hillside Centre. Members of Victoria's Orchid Society are doing some growing for a good cause this weekend at their charity show and sale, and it all benefits the Victoria Hospitals Foundation. The Society will be selling orchids at the University of Victoria. Some top contenders will also be under the critical gaze of a panel of judges, and growing bragging rights are on the line.
That's what everybody wants to get. They want to have an award. It's a nice acknowledgement of the growing that you do and how well the plant actually looks aesthetically.
Orchids are beautiful. They're on show from 9 until 4 on Saturday and Sunday, so you can stop by and maybe tally them up as part of the Victoria Flower Count as well. A man's in custody tonight after pulling out a large knife during a domestic assault inside a Victoria motel. Police got several 911 calls at about 11:30 this morning after a fight broke out inside the Scotsman Inn. When officers arrived, 4 people were fighting on the second floor. Police say one person was carrying a knife more than 30 centimeters long, which appeared to be a butcher knife.
All 4 people were taken into custody at that time, and we were quickly able to figure out that one of the people we'd taken into custody was in fact the aggressor that was described to us earlier in the call. The knife was found on scene and seized. Nobody sustained any knife injuries or any injuries at that time or prior to our arrival. So now it continues to be under investigation. It does in fact appear to be a domestically motivated assault and uttering threats.
Police are investigating, no word yet if charges have been laid in the case. Camosun College, meantime, is entering a new era of its own after blowing out the candles on its 40th birthday cake.
Annually in more than
And the college celebrated with a big party last night. Our own Astrid Braunschmidt, a proud Camosun grad, was the MC for the event. It was held in the Crystal Ballroom at the Empress Hotel. The event was entitled Inspiring Lives, something the college says it has been doing since it registered its first student. Well, in Victoria today, a man was injured after he was hit by a car near the Hillside Shopping Centre, a car that kept going. He was struck by the speeding vehicle at about 3 this afternoon as he tried to cross Hillside near Shakespeare Street. Witnesses say the man was in the marked crosswalk there when a black sports car came speeding towards him and knocked him down. But the driver didn't stop to help. Instead, the car kept going. Witnesses took down the license number and police used it to help track a suspect vehicle.
So we received numerous 911 calls of a pedestrian struck by a vehicle that then left the area immediately afterwards, making no effort to check on the pedestrian or identify themselves. Broadcast of the vehicle was put out in the general Victoria area, and the vehicle has since been located and a driver detained, and they're presently under investigation for hit and run.
That investigation continues. No word on charges yet. The man remains in the hospital, but his injuries are said to be not life-threatening.
CTV News, Vancouver Island Report.
Well, thousands of BC students stood up in their classrooms and stood in solidarity today, filing out of their schools and rallying in support of their teachers. They want the government to negotiate a deal, not to impose one, and they want that deal to guarantee them a better education. Hundreds of students at John Barsby Secondary School left their classrooms and took to the streets armed with signs to spread their message, which they hope doesn't fall on deaf provincial ears.
Youth have a voice, and we should have a say in our education because it's ours. They shouldn't get to choose for us and impose these things, contract and laws on the teachers that we don't even get to hear about. The teachers deserve what they need. They are raising the next generations even more than the parents are. We're in the classrooms with them every single day.
The Nanaimo students took their message straight from their school all the way to City Hall. With provincial exams looming, some grade 12 students say they will go to school without their teachers to study, but they wish that their instructors were there.
Teachers are family to some of us. These teachers mean so much for us. They deserve the best. They're raising us. It takes a community to raise kids. This is the community. This is what they're doing.
Teachers across the province are gearing up to hand out information leaflets on Monday, and in Victoria there's a rally planned at the legislature Tuesday to draw teachers and supporters from across the province. Teachers say the student support today gives them a big boost. Well, the students staging walkouts today were mostly from high schools, but a kindergarten class in Nanaimo took a small stand, leaving school 1 hour early. The children's parents pulled them out of class at Uplands Elementary and then staged a rally of their own in support of teachers. They're concerned about overcrowded classrooms, limited funding, and the lack of teachers' aides. Parents at the rally today say they are concerned about the future of their children's education.
Kids just need to be heard here. I have a son in kindergarten and a daughter who hasn't even started school yet, and if things don't change, they could have over 30 kids in their kindergarten class, and that's more of a babysitting service.
Our kindergarten teacher supplied almost everything in the class, from books to learning tools out of her own pocket, and she's not getting subsidized for this at all. We need classroom support. We can't have half a dozen special needs kids in a class, 30 other kids with no teachers' aides.
The parents say they remain hopeful that the teachers' union and the province can come to a reasonable agreement soon, but the strike begins on Monday. Well, things are looking up for a group of pups, 7 young puppies that were on the verge of death. They are now healing and are ready for a fresh start. The puppies and their mother were discovered accidentally by the SPCA. A constable in Ladysmith, dehydrated, cut, and so hungry they were eating whatever they could find, including rocks and twigs. The owner of the puppies did not want the animals, so the constable took them back to the Nanaimo SPCA. They have since been taken care of, eating and playing and making friends. The SPCA has even named a few of them, and the pups are making quite an impression with you.
We're just so thrilled. Every single puppy and mom have all made just a miraculous recovery. They're putting on weight. They're eating so much food, so of course they are. Their parasite issues are being resolved. The worms that they had, that's all coming out now, and they're looking super.
The investigation's underway into the owner of the animals who could face animal cruelty charges. Environmentalists up and down Vancouver Island are waving red warning flags in an effort to protect BC's green ecosystems. Conservationists are calling on coastal logging giant Island Timberlands to back off from logging in old-growth forests rich in environmental and recreational value. They are asking the province to create a BC Parks acquisition fund of at least $40 million a year, which will be used to help purchase endangered ecosystems.
Look at their budget. You see billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars spent on all sorts of items under the sun, that including hundreds of millions of dollars on highway expansion, a major support for the oil and gas industry. So when you talk about $40 million for a BC-wide fund for our park system, that's peanuts compared to what they're spending. I know that that would be a very popular initiative if they move forward, and with the BC election coming up in just over 1 year, I think it's one of the best things they can do to show that they have conservation in mind.
Since people have been speaking up, Island Timberlands has agreed to delay logging on Cortes Island by 6 months.